All right.
And we're back.
We're back.
Welcome back
To Quiet in the Back.
I'm your host, Patrick William.
I am also a host here, Austin Jenny.
One of the hosts, one of two total hosts.
There are two hosts. It's us.
This is your only film review podcast.
The only pertinent podcast on the planet.
It's the best one. It's also the only one available.
Yeah.
So
on all streaming platforms.
You're going to want to go ahead and subscribe, like us, leave comments, etc. because this week we watched a fantastic movie. A classic.
The Truman Show.
Starring Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Ed Harris. And Laura
Linney.
Yes.
Glad that came out.
Yes. I knew it was an L and I didn't want to butcher it.
Nice.
Yeah, Laura Linney. You know her also from Ozark.
A few other things. She's been around forever.
Great actress.
Yeah.
This is a crazy movie.
It really is. The first time I ever watched this, I was blown the fuck away. Like, just gone.
It's one of those trippy mindfuck movies like The Matrix, where you have to watch it a second, third, fourth time because each time you're seeing more details. And
Absolutely.
After you learn what the twist is, when you go back, it's like a whole different watch.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's like hard to even reconcile my first watch compared to any others. Because when you watch this movie for a second, third, fourth, whatever time, you're just hunting. You're looking for shit.
Looking for details and Easter eggs. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many that it's not even worth trying to say them all. I have a bunch of things written down, and we'll get to some of the bigger ones, but it's every single scene. There's something happening to show you the tricks, what's going on. But if you're not really like actively looking for them, you can miss a few. That said, the movie is not trying to hide its twist.
No, not from us.
Right.
It's only trying to hide it from
the character.
From the character, the main character of the show, which is such a unique twist of this. Yeah. Of all of it, obviously.
It's actually a major part of like the cinematography choices.
Absolutely.
They're doing a lot of, I guess for the unlucky among you who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, come on, what are you doing?
And we insist that you turn this off and go watch it and come back. But if you need explanation, basically, Truman is the star of a reality TV show that he is not aware that he is in. And it is his entire life.
Yes, 29 years of life, to be exact.
Been the show. He's been live broadcast even while sleeping.
For 29 straight years.
Yeah. An entire town was built inside of like a Hollywood studio.
A dome studio.
That is visible from space.
Yeah. I mean, there's an ocean around it, technically, you know. It's crazy.
They put a camera in his mother's uterus and filmed him in vitro. It is they say in the movie that he is the first child adopted by a corporation.
Yeah, which fuck, dude. I really hope that doesn't start happening.
But so his entire life is fabricated, or like his reality is fabricated. Whether or not his life is fake is one of the central themes of the movie, philosophically speaking. We'll get to that later. But his world is fabricated. The town he lives in, his job.
Certainly, every aspect of it. I mean, he has like a routine schedule that's all fake. Every person around him are all just paid actors, you know?
And so to get into the cinematography with that in mind, you're seeing everything from like a voyeuristic point of view.
Hidden cameras, weird angles.
Wide angles, like cameras that are mounted high up or low down.
Fisheye, like fucking stuff sometimes too.
There's a lot of vignetting. So like implying that the lens is like from far away kind of. And a lot of like awkward like zoom ins as he's changing his plan. If something like if he trips and falls or whatever, like it's like clearly not being set up the way that a normal movie would be set up, because a normal movie would have every movement planned.
Yes.
Right? That's called blocking. They block the scene. And so this movie is faking not having done blocking.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is so weird. It's pretty strange to watch.
Yeah, because of course it is all blocked and it is all planned out, but they're doing a really good job of like using the cinematography to create the feeling that what you're watching is real, is like actually happening.
Yes, and then Jim Carrey's side of it too is just so masterful. Like, I mean,
Right.
he is perfect to like make it look like he is just being so like uncoordinated sometimes, and just like the way he moves throughout a scene is like, how could you have planned that? I don't know.
This movie's rated PG, which
Yeah.
I forgot. It doesn't hold anything. It doesn't hold the movie back in any way by being family friendly.
Yeah.
If anything, it kind of like allows for the themes to maybe work a bit better even.
Yeah.
It has the sort of Stepford Wives vibe, the perfect suburb. Jim Carrey is in a lot of these types of roles in his career with like movies like Liar Liar or what's the one where they lose all their money?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, regardless, he plays this kind of like archetype a lot.
Yeah.
The sort of like perfect American dream dad, suburban dad with a good job.
Yep.
Suit, tie, commuter car.
Beautiful wife.
Just every day a routine.
Yeah.
And he's very family friendly with it. Saying hi to the neighbors. Hey there. And they have like a set script. And they keep returning to it. So it's very like Hallmark.
Yeah. It's pretty unsettling.
It allows for it to get creepy.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Because, at the beginning, like, it seems nice and safe and comfortable, and just, the farther we progress throughout the story, it really starts to feel more like just like a prison, It's like you are locked the fuck in here, and people are constantly thwarting his plans each and every way. Oh, God.
Well, and at first, so the movie presents that it's a reality show right away. The first scene is Ed Harris, he's the producer, director, talking in a documentary style, like directly to the camera, which is to us.
Yeah.
And he's saying, actually, I wrote it down.
Oh, nice.
One of the first quotes. He says, the world he inhabits may be counterfeit, but there's nothing fake about Truman himself. And he's like giving this speech about authenticity. But yeah, you see right away that this is a reality show, and it's being presented as like cheeky, funny, lighthearted, and innocent. And it's like he's just not in on the joke, but he's having a great time.
He's just a quirky guy just living his life.
But as the movie goes on, it starts to become very clear that this is just evil.
It is. It is very like almost demonic.
Right.
That they are doing this poor kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, I guess he's not a kid anymore, but he was.
He was. He started as a baby.
Yeah.
They say at the beginning that he's been doing this for 10,909 days because they have a day counter on the screen.
Oh my God.
Which I calculated to 29.8 years. So he's going on 30. He's been living in this fabricated reality for 30 years.
Oh no. Aren't we all? Oh no.
Right? Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
I mean, I think there's a lot of themes in this movie, and some of them are more metaphysical and like philosophical, but some of them are more just personal and societal. And one of the things that it's really drives home, I think, is this idea that like the media can shape your reality.
Absolutely.
To what extent is like a question you need to ask yourself. But this idea that like people in your lives are just like feeding you a line, and then that line is sort of like shaping your behavior.
Yeah.
I don't believe that anyone in my life is a plant.
Yeah.
Like it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But just the idea that like other people in my life that are real, authentic people are themselves getting fed a line by like media. And then that sort of creates like this broader talking point or like discourse and narrative in all of our lives that we all work within.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all going to be brought up naturally to each other, as we converse throughout our day. And even if it doesn't, we have it like subconsciously on both of our minds, and it will affect the way we go about anything. And this is like vague as hell, but
It's true though, like, and the broader you start, the easier it is to understand, but then you can start doing these like concrete examples. Like I do remember back in 2016 in Texas, there was a Facebook group started to protest gun rights being taken away.
Yeah.
And there was another one that was started to like counter protest the protest to do like gun safety. And it came out later that both Facebook groups were generated by Russian trolls.
Yep.
And this Texas community, like both sides of the issue, were brought out against each other by people that are not invested in the situation except to sow discord.
Yep.
So you have situations like that, which are concrete and real. And you just have to ask yourself, like, how much of your daily life, your daily points of view, your discourse with other people is being driven or shaped by the media broadly, but just
it's harder once you get more specific with like daily, like literally daily activities. But I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that like most of like the huge ideological battles I think that we've been fighting as a country and as a community, culturally, all of it, for like the past 15 years or so, are all just directly from corporate media to keep us distracted from class indifferences.
Yeah, and you know, 15 years because that's our more like concentrated.
Yeah, exactly. 15 years for us.
Our concentrated adult lives. But honestly, in American culture, Western culture, like I want to say it's been shaped aggressively for over like 150 years.
I can see
like,
that. Yeah, easily.
Just simple things like the food pyramid or whatever. It's just like ways of selling you milk or corn based on what the industries need. Yeah, like and people are very susceptible to this. There's another quote in the movie from the director, and he says, "We accept the reality of the world which we are presented with."
Yeah, we do. That is very much so human nature.
Right. There's this concept called like the Overton window.
Okay, I've heard that. I have no idea.
It refers specifically to political discourse, but it really applies to anything. And what it means is it's the parameters, like left to right, within which acceptable discourse happens.
Yeah.
So if you fall outside the Overton window, you're considered a bit radical.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get
And what the media does is it tends to always shrink the Overton window on both sides. But it also, in the last 15 years of my life since like 9/11, has shifted very far to the right. Like right-wing talking points are acceptable and left-wing talking points are radical, whereas like some of this stuff that the right-wingers say very casually on national news, if you said that in the 90s, you would be considered like an extremist domestic terrorist.
Far right, yeah.
And they've pushed the window so far that now it's considered like normal.
Yeah.
And it's let me reassure you, it's not normal.
It's not normal.
But the Overton window can really apply to like anything in your life, like just basic ideas of consumption. Like now with these tariffs, I've been rethinking all of my basic consumption patterns. Like buying new electronics or new clothing, which all comes from Vietnam and China, has been like a standard practice for Americans since like the 70s.
Pretty much, yeah. As soon as we could get it out.
Right.
As soon as we can make it that cheap, we did.
Yeah. It's just like basic assumptions about your life that you take for granted and are considered like an acceptable way to speak.
Yeah.
When the Overton window shifts on those things, now they're raising your eyebrows. Now it's like when someone mentions their Amazon account, I'm like, in the early 2000s,
have to use Amazon?
Yeah, in the 2010s, you know, I was a big Amazon person even up till 2020, 2021. But, you know, these things change. Like Tesla's public perception changed dramatically this year.
Real quick. But
if you were paying attention, really, it's been 5 years since it's started to change. And these things, they're acceptable at one moment, and then they're not the next. And Truman Show just, for me, had a really profound ability to, like, point that out directly, that, like, your perception of your world is being shaped intentionally or otherwise by the media.
By the media, yeah. I mean, and it's really what it comes down to is that it's control. They want control, and they want surveillance, and they want money.
Right.
They want all three of these in a beautiful little sandwich.
Yeah.
And they can feed it to you now through a little brick that you have in your pocket at all times.
Truman Show was very prescient.
Dude.
This was 1998.
How would they have... It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
They really nailed reality television as it exploded. I mean, now it's like, it's got to be the most watched thing.
Reality TV is like, for sure, it's the cheapest to make.
Yeah.
Easiest to make in high volumes.
Yeah.
And it just scratches that itch that our pattern-seeking brains want so badly.
I hate it.
That parasocial, like following the personal lives of the people,
Yeah, just fucking full of tea, full of drama. It's ridiculous.
So reality TV, but also, like you said, the surveillance state. This was pre 9/11. This was pre like
Patriot Act, dude. Yeah.
But they are fully understanding the capacity that media has to like observe and manipulate through camera technology and interventions.
Algorithms now too,
right?
Literally just never showing us different sides of things that you can't even find.
Predicting what you might want to see based on your past interests before you really consciously realize that you might want to see it.
Dude, it's so gross. That is so nasty. What really got me is like a few years ago I heard a story of someone who who was pregnant and she didn't know she was pregnant yet.
Yes.
And she started seeing ads and shit for like pregnancy stuff. She's like, no.
Yeah.
And took a test and they fucking knew before she did.
The marketers knew because of their data analytics based on her shopping patterns and stuff that she was pregnant before
fucking
her.
Nasty, dude. Like that is so gross.
Yeah. It's a level of Big Brother that would make Orwell turn in his grave.
Yeah.
But it's like decentralized. Like no one's in control of it per se.
Yeah.
It's just like the entire industry like combining and fusing in weird ways, and it's just driven by like wanting to sell you stuff.
Man, it is. That is why. I think that there is still a bit of centered control throughout the government. You gotta watch that one. The first 10 minutes of that last Andrew 5, the 5 casting. He does a beautiful job of explaining exactly what the fuck we're talking about.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
We're big fans of Andrew Callahan.
Yeah, Channel 5 Worldwide.
News. I'll send you my real Andrew. So there's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. I wrote a few of them down. The product placement was very funny.
Oh, God.
So basically, the way that they're making money off of this is by turning Truman's entire life into ad opportunity.
Moco Loco.
Yeah. His wife comes down into the to the basement, or it's like a work shed kind of external workspace that they have, and he's down there. He's actually lying about why he's down there because he's looking through old photographs, which is like a plot-based thing. He's starting to like get nervous and realize something's off, and he's like looking at these old photographs and trying to piece things together.
Yeah.
She comes in and he lies and says that he was working on the mower. And then she's like, huh. And then she turns her head and looks right into a camera, some off to the side camera. And she's like, that mower's an old piece of junk. We should get the new mower from yada, yada, yada. And she has that classic like Stepford Wives smile, perfect haircut.
Holding it.
Like, we should get the new mower.
The new mower.
And yeah, his entire life is sponsored by corporate America.
Yeah.
And all of the extras, the actors in his life, because all of his basic relationships are actors. They're always looking for an opportunity to like turn to camera and pitch the new product.
Yeah, the new whatever.
The chef's buddy. It's like a 3-in-1 like peeler, dicer, slicer. Yeah. It's like, I got you this chef's buddy, and she turns like
it's on the nose, but tastefully, I would say. Very much so.
It's just very funny the way they present it.
Yeah.
Now that is a beer. Then there's a bunch of like sort of mistakes that are being made by the production.
Oh yeah.
Which are keying in Truman to the fact that something's wrong. And it takes him a while to like understand the scope. But it's weird. It's things like
the camera or the light falling.
A light falls. It starts raining, but it only starts raining on him.
And he's walking.
Everywhere around him is dry, and as he walks, it's like following him. And then after like 30 seconds of this, the rain starts falling everywhere, and it was like a rain machine malfunction.
Yeah, just like targeting him.
They forgot they only turned on Truman's rain tracker and not the entire like scene.
Oh my god!
There is at one point he's in his car and he turns to like a different radio station than normal.
Yeah,
and it's transmitting like the producer's
feed,
the walkie-talkie feed. It's like he's on the go, and he's hearing a live feed describing what he's doing.
That would freak me out so bad.
Yeah, it's so scary.
Oh, I mean, speaking of scary too, like seeing his dad.
Yeah,
his dad too. You know, who's like, so what was he, like a bum or something in that?
Well, okay, originally,
yeah,
his dad was killed off by the producers.
Yeah.
I forget the motivation for that.
Yeah.
But they killed off his dad in a boating accident, a staged boating accident.
Yeah. I think it's to give him fear of water.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's to keep him controlled in his world, because the stage is surrounded by like a sea.
Yeah, it's an island. Yeah.
And it's Sea Haven, a great place to live.
Great place to live.
But the writers kill off his dad in a tragic boating accident to give him a phobia of water.
Yeah.
And his dad, which his real life dad, by the way, right? In the context of this movie.
Yeah.
His parents are really his birth parents. They just also signed their baby away and signed on to be actors in this false reality.
Yeah.
His real life birth dad then leaves his life
permanently,
and under the auspices that he's dead.
Yeah.
And then 20 years later, he like has a change of heart or whatever, and he breaks onto the stage. This was an unplanned event at first.
Gotcha. I forgot about it.
He infiltrates the set and goes and meets Truman, and he's Truman, and he recognizes him right away. He's like, Dad? Oh my God. Freaks out. And then like a van pulls up.
Yeah.
Like two people bump into Truman, like usher him away.
Yeah.
And a van like kidnaps the dad. Like they take him away right away. Like the producers are diffusing the situation, right? And gaslighting Truman. God. And they're saying, no, that wasn't your dad.
No.
Oh, it's a lookalike. And then they're planting like a fake news channel. A deranged homeless man this day. Like,
that's why.
Caused a kerfuffle, and so they paint him as a homeless man. And yeah, they just like sort of brush it under the rug, and this is the way that they're distorting his reality. Yeah. Through planted news stories, radio broadcasts. Everyone around him is in on it, gaslighting him.
And this just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, he really starts to be like pretty paranoid, delusional. You know?
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully, because he's seeing these things.
Yeah.
At one point, he goes up to take an elevator, but the elevator's not like there yet. But the doors open, and he sees through the back of the elevator into a break room.
This is producers and shit.
It's like actors and producers. They're all like eating donuts and coffee. Like they have scripts in their hands and stuff. They're getting ready for the next scene.
Dude.
And they see him, see them, and everyone's like, like looking at each other like they're clearly busted. They close the doors, and he gets like ushered away again.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that was just maintenance. Weird. The elevator's offline.
Oh, just weird maintenance. Don't worry about it.
It's very frustrating watching him get gaslit over and over and over.
It really is, especially because it's progressing and getting more serious too. You know.
Yeah, and more obvious.
Yeah.
Like the cover-ups that they're doing are covering up more and more clear violations of his reality. Which means the lies have to get bigger and bigger.
Bigger stakes too every time. Yeah.
At one point, the producers actually bring the dad back because his suspicion is so like concrete that he saw his dad for real, and he can't get over it. That they decide the best way to like lock him back into their narrative is to admit that it is his dad. He never died. He got washed up somewhere else. He's been living a different life,
and he's back.
And now he's back in your life, Truman. It's so wild.
Yeah, man. The manipulation and like you said, gaslighting is just truly upsetting to see.
Yeah. at one point towards the climax, he's like trying to. He knows his world is fake at this point.
Yeah.
He's like 95% sure, and he's testing the limits. He's driving around like crazy.
Yeah.
Which was a very Ace Ventura.
Totally.
Type of the way he's driving his car.
Manic, dude.
Yeah, it's very Ace Ventura. He's driving around. He's like speeding on purpose, and suddenly, right, like a bunch of cars will zipper merge in front of him and block traffic. He's like, it's congested again. Like, what are the odds? And he's like catching on, right?
Yeah.
He can tell that the world is reacting to his choices specifically.
Absolutely.
And then
is that when he like starts to make the plan?
He leaves the island. He crosses the bridge.
Yeah.
They start a forest fire.
Yeah.
Right. So the set is larger than the island. It has like a perimeter in case of contingencies. They start a forest fire on the offside of the bridge.
Dudes in suits and shit.
There's a bunch of hazmat people. They keep escalating, right? They stop him at a police roadblock. There's like hazmat people doing like disaster relief. But the cop fucks up. He's like, we need you to turn around, yada, yada. And finally, he's like, okay, thanks, officer. He's like, no problem, Truman. And he calls him by his first name, right? And this is an extra that is just too eager.
Yeah, no problem, Truman.
He's like finally getting his big break to interact with Truman in the show. He's never, and he breaks the fourth wall. He calls him by his first name. This is a person he's never met before.
Yeah, there's no reason this guy should know his fucking name.
So there's all these like escalatingly big like breaks in rifts in his reality.
He tries to go to the travel agency and is like, oh, there's no flights available
for at least 3 months.
Yeah, it's like what? And this pretty much culminates in him finally starting to sleep in his basement, right? Yeah.
So like at the climax of the movie, basically he lets on. He like his public projection is that he believes the world again.
Yes.
But the truth is he fully knows it's all being a lie. And he is lying about knowing that it's a lie so that the producers go off their guard and bring everything back to normal.
Yes.
And you get a couple scenes of him like doing his routine again because they bring his dad back and he allows that to sort of like shock him back into his routine. He's like, okay, I accept everything.
Yeah.
But it's a ruse.
It's all a ploy.
Yeah.
He is now smarter than the entire studio.
He's sleeping in his basement. He knows exactly where all the cameras are located. And he knows just the angles to essentially do a prison escape.
Yeah.
It's like an escape from Alcatraz thing where he's like dug out the wall behind his sleeping bag, covered it with a poster.
He puts a fucking fake snowman under his sleeping bag on the final night, dude. Yeah, and they find him. They find the snowman.
Yeah, they find an empty sleeping bag. And all of a sudden, it's like all hands on deck. They're searching for him. The actors are freaking out.
Yeah.
And for the first time in 29.8 years, they cut the feed.
Yeah, Christoph cuts it. Yeah, and then you get like those little fun shots of people all around the world like, oh,
right.
What's happening?
You have all these like regular viewers.
Yeah, yep.
There's a guy in his bathtub. There's like 2 waitresses at a diner who are not serving their tables.
Not at all.
Because they're too glued to the screen.
Could you imagine one broadcast being like going for 29 years?
And it's the most popular thing in the world.
I mean, yeah. Ugh. I mean, if that was if that was reality, it would probably be very popular.
Yeah.
I feel like there'd be a lot of...
It's so immoral that if anyone tried to do that in real life, there would be like protests and riots. But a certain type of person would be in to watch.
Oh, yeah.
There would be a percentage that have morbid curiosity.
Definitely.
That feel like because I'm just watching, I'm not morally participating, so I'll just watch it. And
totally are.
That's someone else's moral problem. But there would be protests and riots over this because it's essentially like, I mean, he's not necessarily a slave, but he's like imprisoned in a false world.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something interesting that the producer says, though. He says, he says Truman accepts the reality with which he's presented. But if he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there would be no way we can stop him.
Yeah.
And he says to the camera in the documentary, Truman has since day one, always been free to leave the island. They haven't, he claims. I mean, I've seen a lot of obstruction.
A lot of evidence that was pretty obstructing.
But he claims that they've never physically restrained him, which I mean, like handcuffs, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
They're just putting like societal roadblocks in his way.
Yeah.
But they've never like actually constrained him physically from leaving the island. They're just using manipulation to keep him there.
Both psychological and physical. And
yeah. And in a sense, to me, that's like not better.
It's not.
You know?
It's just different. It's
he says that as a justification that it's like Truman still has his freedom. But I don't believe that you have a free choice with not full information.
Yeah. You can't really exercise your free will if you're being lied to by every facet of life around you.
Yeah. It's a major part of decision theory is like having all the information. Mm-hmm. If someone tells me, and I believe that person, that my choice is between killing you or killing 5 other people in the room next door, and I take that information to be true, I'm now in a situation where like I have to kill someone. Yeah.
There's now no matter what, you're killing someone.
Right. So now you're just making like this rationalization of like how many. Yeah. The truth is, I don't have to kill anyone. No. Right. They have not presented me with all the options. Yeah. And if I take this as an authority that I like believe them, right, then like your choices are not free. Yeah. And a fundamental bedrock of having freedom is having true information, which is another aspect of like the sort of like media surveillance state and the concept of freedom. It's very important that people are not only physically free. Like this is the sort of the conservative argument often is like they want a negative freedom, which is a freedom from. So like don't tread on me is like a very like negative aspect of freedom. Just don't tell me what I can't do. Yeah. But what about the positive freedom of like actually having the ability to do the things you want to do? So for example, like putting a handicap walkway to the library allows people in wheelchairs to go to the library. Yes. Maybe they weren't being prohibited from going to the library before that walkway was put in. Yeah. But they could not actually go there. Yeah. Right? So they're not free to go there. So there's like this freedom from, but then there's freedom to. They're both equally important. And if you don't have the freedom to make good choices, you're not free. Absolutely. And I don't think that many conservative people are free, mentally free now. I
fully agree. I think it leans definitely more to the conservative side, but I think it's a full spectrum thing, you know?
Well, the concept applies to all people in all countries, not just America.
But I understand your sentiment.
But I do think that if you look at the media environments that conservatives live in versus the ones that liberals or centrists live in, they are so much more, at least for the last 5 years specifically. I think in the 90s is a different conversation. Yeah. But with the rise of like social media, internet, decentralization of media, and the purchasing of major media channels by billionaires, we have a much more concentrated right-wing echo chamber than we've ever had for the left or center or anything like that. Yeah. Right now.
I agree with that.
You see it with like the tariffs where like conservatives just spent the last 4 years during the Biden administration talking about the price of groceries and gas and the cost of living. It was like the main driving economic argument of the election.
It's what got him elected.
And then within 3 months, he's crashing the global economy with his tariffs. And those same conservatives are being like, gotta take your medicine.
Hoorah!
They're like Zen Buddhists who had never had any materialist desires. They're like, I'd pay a little bit more for that to be made in America. Yeah. Like, buddy, you wouldn't pay a fast food worker a living wage if your life depended on it. Yep. And it's just, they're just going with whatever the media is like telling them the narrative is. Yeah. I don't know that they're even like deeply considering the options.
No, right? I just don't think most people are deeply considering fucking anything that's going on around us. Which is terrifying.
Yeah. But my goal is not to bash on conservatives.
Yeah.
That's not really why I brought it up. I just think that in today's world, they are the sort of poster child for this thing that you're seeing in the movie. They don't have the full information required to make a correct decision, so they're not free to make that decision.
Yeah.
They are literally like mentally enslaved in this situation. And that makes me sad.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That just sucks.
Yes.
It's like, how do you combat that, you know?
Right. You have to do what Truman did, which is realize your world is fake and leave it behind.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be able to pull them out.
No,
you know?
And that's part of what we see in the movie is it's this concept of like self-realization and like self-determination. Because a few people have tried to tell Truman in this movie. Like there's
Sylvie,
a girl,
right? Or whatever her name is.
I think her name is Lauren.
Is it? Or maybe that's her real name.
Her fake name in her... Yeah, she has two names technically.
Yeah, okay.
The real woman's name is Lauren, but like in the... Or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's Sylvia in real life. But she like falls in love with him in high school. And she keeps like telling him the truth. People are lying to you. This is fake. We need to leave here, etc. And the producers like remove her and replace her with his future wife.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
And Truman spends the rest of his adult life like clipping pictures.
Trying to make her face out of things.
He's like collaging out of magazines. Like he'll just take an eye or lips or a nose, and he's trying to rebuild her face from memory.
Yeah.
So sad, but also very romantic.
Yeah. This movie really becomes quite the tragedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, especially based on how you start. Like, it feels good at first. You're like, wow, this is such a picturesque little world. He's so happy, all this shit. And it devolves to be like, man, this is a really sad fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, and the producer has this argument. He says that this is a gift for Truman. He says that the real world is more fucked up than this world. And Truman is benefiting from being able to have the privilege to live in this fabricated world because it's safer. He's experiencing more happiness. He's the center of attention.
Yeah.
He's got a great job, wife.
All these things, all these bullet points.
The American dream is being spoon-fed to him.
Yeah.
But the truth is that he's actually like less fulfilled because he's not self-determined. He would rather leave this world, which is ostensibly perfect, right?
Sure.
And go live a life of with a higher percentage of suffering.
Yeah. Who knows what would happen? He could just get killed, like whatever. But it'd be his decision. It's
his world. Yeah. It's a real world. Yeah. And it's a world where the consequences are real based on his choices. In this world, he could do anything and it just keeps coming out Truman.
Yep. It's the show. It's the Truman Show.
So he can't make mistakes. He can't learn. He can't live.
Expand his
The scope of human life is so broad and pain and like heartbreak shapes our ability to value things and live a meaningful life in such a concrete way that like when you remove those out and you just plug someone into a matrix and you just hit the dopamine button all day.
This is only good for you. It's like that will kill them faster than just about anything else. Like honestly.
Yeah. It'll
put them in a zombie like fucking fugue state.
There's no satisfaction there.
Yeah.
So this movie is raising a very important sort of like moral value system type of question. What makes a life worth living? It's not having stuff or having a suburban
having the
life,
American dream,
right? It's actually just experiencing life as a human, and sometimes that can really include
of course
the perfect life,
of
whatever
course.
the American dream is.
Sure.
Sometimes people do get that, and that's great if you get it by virtue of what you've done. More the merrier. Go along with it and have a great life, but it's better to be like poor and your mom died too young, but at least it's like the world is real, and at least your choices are like having a real consequence. If we played a game of chess and I just like made a bunch of bad moves and you just resigned, I can't say I'm a good chess player. Like what?
Yeah, man.
That's not how this works.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a really weird thing, honestly. Like not like watching someone in this movie just not have any actual autonomous feelings, even really, because of the way that the world is shaped around him. Like, it's pretty despondent. It makes me want to, which is crazy for a movie, just like appreciate the choices that I have more just in my own life.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it makes me want to like stay informed and like be a free person who can make real decisions.
Yeah, and make mistakes and have those consequences hit me in the face.
But appreciate the mistakes, and appreciate what you have. Like parents die, children die sometimes before their parents. Sometimes you apply to a graduate program and you get denied 3 times and you never become a dentist or whatever. That's an okay thing to have happen to you.
Yeah.
And it's going to shape your life into a different direction, which is like a natural path.
Absolutely. And you won't even know how happy your life might be until you get there because of that failure.
Right.
You have to follow down these avenues of experience.
In a lot of ways, it's kind of like video games too. Like, it's rewarding to play a game that has rules and then you like beat the game, which means you like understand the rules and you become good at it. The second that I start playing a game and cheat, and eventually I tend to do this.
Yeah.
But the second you turn on like God mode or give yourself infinite money or whatever, it actually just becomes extremely boring.
It sucks out so much of the satisfaction of all of those hours of work that you put in. Absolutely.
And I'm not advocating for like grind culture. But
little
like,
grind culture.
What I'm advocating for is just the idea that like just because something is hard doesn't mean it's not better than the easier thing. That sometimes the easy thing is like extremely boring.
Often the easy way out is pretty boring in my experience, specifically with video games. But yes,
there's something I wrote down that I think one of the characters mentioned that like his life is normal as a good thing. And I just wrote down define normal. And then I wrote normal versus authentic. I think normal is impossible to define for the most part.
Yeah. Normal to what? Normal to who?
Yeah. It's another one of those concepts it's like the Overton window. It's being shaped by your parents and the media system and all the books you've read as a kid. It's being shaped by history and society, what normal is. But as we move into unknown futures, technology keeps changing. Social dynamics keep changing.
Things are going to be really not normal.
There just is no such thing as normal.
Yeah.
Unless you're just looking at like a statistical distribution, like if technically like
the average, yeah.
Yeah.
If what's the average output?
If 90% of people are straight, then it's normal to be straight. But that doesn't mean it's abnormal to be gay.
Exactly.
Right? There's like a value attachment to the word normal.
Normal, yeah.
Because people don't use it as a statistical distribution.
No, they use it in like a positive aspect, pretty exclusively.
They're tending to describe like what is acceptable. And what's acceptable is not always normal, and what's normal is not always accepted, and it keeps shifting under your feet. So normality is a weird way to try to define life.
Yeah.
Authentic, though.
Well, that's great.
That is much more like clear to me when something is inauthentic or authentic.
Yeah, or genuine even. But yeah.
And that's what Truman doesn't have. He has an inauthentic, normal life.
Yeah. What a shit combination.
Legally adopted by a corporation. There's nothing normal about that.
Specifically, nothing. I mean, he's literally the first one to do it.
It's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, when Christoph, like the main documentarian guy, he seems very godlike.
Yeah.
Very I am the source of his existence and being. And when he says he claims to love Truman.
Right.
Oh, man, that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. You don't love him.
It's very annoying.
It is, dude.
There's really a point at the end of the movie where Truman has like reached the outer wall of the studio. Yeah. He's crossed the sea.
Yeah, he faced his phobia of the water.
Yes.
And then the symbolism of the water and the boat, all of that coming
And meanwhile,
together.
Christoph is like, trigger the storms.
Yeah, dude.
And he's like, accelerate the winds. Bigger waves.
He has this little fucking panel of storm controlling abilities.
Everyone in the studio is like, I don't think we should push him any further. He's like, he'll be fine. And the guy pushes the red lever like all the way. It's like his boat's being thrashed. He barely survives. Mm-hmm. But then finally he survives like all they can throw at him. So he eases off, brings the sun back out. Mm-hmm. And Truman has like, he's bested his fears. He's crossed the sea in a boat himself.
And then there's the stairs.
Yeah. The iconic staircase shot.
Yeah.
So he reaches the edge of the sea and it's just a wall, like a studio wall.
Yeah.
His boat bumps into it and then all of a sudden he's like, wait, what? And he can see it and because it like blends in. It's
perfectly.
Yeah. It blends into the edge of the sea, the horizon and the sky. But really it's just like an optical illusion and his boat just bumps into it.
Yeah.
And he like slowly gets out, starts walking up this staircase. Mm-hmm. It's a really iconic shot of him on top of like sky blue stairs on top of water. And it looks like he's kind of walking up the sky.
Yeah.
And then he stops short of the door and Christoph like gets on the intercom.
It's the last ditch effort, dude.
Yeah. And he's like, Truman. It's like talking to him as God.
As God, yeah, for sure.
Right?
You must stay.
He's like, your life is good here.
Yeah.
We all love you. Please return home, Truman.
Yeah.
You have a choice to make. And he tries to give him this choice between like a good life or
the world
unknown.
out there is full of lies.
Yeah.
When he goes into it.
And the movie ends with him leaving, but you never see him step out. It's just like he goes in and it goes to black.
And gives a nice full bow before.
Oh, yeah, he does the...
I loved that.
There's a quote, and I wish I had written it down, but he says it to his neighbors all the time. Do you remember?
I cannot, no.
Okay, well, it's like this recurring scripted quote that the neighbors say, and then he has a response. They say it multiple times, and I believe he says that again. In that last moment.
Nice.
He takes a bow, like right to camera, and he says his like famous quote, and then we fade to black, and presumably a 30-year-old man is now going to enter the world for the first time, outside of the parameters of control of this production.
That's so crazy.
It's wild. He's going to go meet his God.
How could you leave? I don't know. That's insane. I just don't understand how like. Say a corporation adopted a child. Why do you then get that child past the age of 18? You know? Like, how do you sign away their entire life? That's
the thing that I think Christoph was trying to say is, like, they don't. He's voluntarily in the world they've created because they're just kind of pressuring him and manipulating him to stay. But they're not, like, chaining him to his room.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean...
It's a mental shackle, for sure.
Yeah.
But, he just doesn't know any better. He's in a false world that he believes for a while. Yeah. Because it's a decent enough illusion.
I mean, it's pretty good until you really start to look. Man, that leads into some really interesting ideas about exploitation of media as well on people, I would say.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's just really interesting how okay we are as a culture to exploit humans for entertainment. Like, just in general. I think we do it all the time with all sorts of shows. Yeah. You know, you put some stupid people in front of a camera, you know, or not necessarily stupid, but just like, you know, say like My 400-Pound Life or whatever. Yeah. It's like that is just and only exploiting these two morbidly obese women for our enjoyment. Like, that's pretty fucking gross, dude. And it's like culturally acceptable. Like pretty, like, you know, pretty much the entire TLC channel is just like just attacking people.
Well, this is like it's a transactional nature of our society. Yeah, because I'm sure they're getting paid.
Of course, they're getting paid. Yeah.
So they are selling their life situation to be observed and made fun of or sympathized with. Whatever the reaction of the viewer is almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
They're selling access
Yeah.
into their world for a price. And sometimes people do that for free just because they're attention seekers.
Yeah. That's even crazy.
That's a different situation a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the exploitation comes out in the dynamic, the dichotomy between like the poor and the rich.
Yes.
Right? Because if you have someone who is really needy and they have a fucked up life and some rich Hollywood producer can totally afford to give them $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to make $5 million in the ad sales over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
They give them a small amount of money and they get so much more from them.
And that small amount of money, I mean, not, going a little bit broader, but just, into like you said, a needy situation. I mean, essentially keeps them in that needy situation too, because then they're encouraged not to change too much, because if they use that small amount of money to get better, then they don't have a show anymore.
Yeah. There's definitely
some of that. I don't think that's always the case, but
it's, I don't want to say it's not ever the case, because it is sometimes. Like Kaylin does know some people in Billings who would have children or adopt children.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically because they get money, right? So they're like farming kids.
Yeah.
That's an abuse of the welfare system.
Yep.
And that's a major talking point that like people who are against the welfare system tend to say is like, oh, well, if you provide anything to people who need that thing, then you're disincentivizing them from changing their life into a situation where they won't get it.
Yeah.
Statistically, that's not true.
That's not the case at all.
That is not true.
You're cherry picking examples to prove your point, but
every society is going to have a percentage of bottom feeders, and you don't have to be poor to be a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
But thieves, white collar criminals, people that just take advantage of situations where they can because they just don't have any qualms doing so.
Yeah.
You're always going to have a percentage of people that do that. But cherry picking out the scenarios in a welfare context and then using those scenarios to like argue against welfare as a concept.
That's so gross.
Is disingenuous, and it's just factually false.
Yeah.
Welfare actually helps people in a major way, and it does help people like get jobs and like get on their feet more than the opposite.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's a disingenuous argument that I hear all the time, and it does boil my blood. It's the same with like universal health care, college funding. Like all the arguments against these things are based on a misunderstanding of numbers, basically. Yeah. And cherry picking like false data and to like make
willing ignorance too
to make a point that's just not true.
Yeah.
Mainly so that rich people don't have to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
It's like always what it comes down to.
Pretty much more taxes, or just, have to help a large amount of people. They don't really want to.
They just want more for themselves.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the 1950s, we had a 95% marginal tax rate for $1 billion or more. And that was like the most like successful version of the American economy thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we elected a bunch of really shitty people.
Yeah.
Woo! Doing it. Keep it up. Dude, fucking, oh God. We have to talk about some bummer shit after this.
We don't need to drag you guys into this.
Yeah. No, that's not important for the Truman Show.
This movie had me wondering like metaphysical questions too. We don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
But I was trying to compare it to like something like The Matrix, which is essentially like a modern retelling of Plato's allegory of the cave, which is just this idea that like you can have nested realities where like one is dependent on the other, and the one that's dependent on the other one is like less real. Yeah. Allegedly. That's sort of like the baked in assumption of Plato, at least. That when you leave the cave and you stop just seeing shadows on the wall, you see the real sunlight, that reality is like more real than the cave reality. And that when Neo gets unplugged from the Matrix, his like life on the Nebuchadnezzar is like metaphysically privileged over his life in the Matrix.
Yeah, it's more real.
That is not the situation in Truman Show, right?
Yeah.
Like Truman Show seems like it's doing something like that, but actually the world that he lives in is just in the exact same world. It's not like metaphysically distinct from.
No, it's all just like a spider web of lies and manipulation.
I think there's this tendency on people's first watch of Truman Show to sort of get metaphysical and think of it like the Matrix, and it's just not like that. They're doing a different thing.
Yeah.
They're doing more of like a information reality question.
Yeah.
Not a metaphysical one. There is no different metaphysical world here.
He's not stepping through that door and like traversing through like
into like a higher world.
Yeah, no, it's literally just a big dome.
He's just learning more about the world and experiencing more of it. And in a way that feels much more of a productive assessment of these types of conversations. Because I'm not really sure that I even believe that, like, to take the Matrix, for example, that the Matrix version of experience is less real.
Yeah.
I don't think that, like, metaphysical realness is an important qualifier.
Not really. Certainly not to our brains.
Right.
You know, it's like in the exact the Matrix's world. It's just like it is. You're experiencing the exact same thing as if you were unplugged. You know?
That's like Cyrus's whole point, right?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Cyrus?
Silas.
Yeah. The bald guy that like, betrays them.
Silas, whatever his name is, Stakey.
Cyrax, whatever. His whole point, and this
chemicals.
That's the argument he's making. Is like when I put the juicy steak in my mouth, I taste all of the fat and the meat, and like the experience is real.
Yes.
The metaphysical qualification of that world is kind of like an erroneous afterthought.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter necessarily.
I guess it depends on like if you're bringing this into this conversation a bunch of like religious beliefs.
Yeah,
then it could change your
qualifiers.
But just in terms of like experiential quality, like it doesn't really matter like at what stage metaphysically you're having those experiences. We could be inside of a tiny raindrop in a giant's eye.
Yeah,
he's in a different reality.
Yeah,
it does not affect our lives.
No, it doesn't matter at all. We're still living our lives. We're still experiencing this thing. We're still having this conversation.
What actually affects our lives is within the context of the world that we accept that we're in. How much information do you have? Like, how real is your perception of the given parameters? Like, how accurate are your beliefs?
Yeah.
How close to the truth are you in this world? That's much more important.
Totally agree. It makes me pretty. I think about this a lot whenever I'm like trying to wrap my head around simulation theory in real life.
Yeah.
It just as like it's like I don't really care. Like if we are, say, in some giant, magnificent fucking quantum computer simulation created by some higher intelligence,
right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, certainly at least to us, to me, because I'm not going to be able to affect that. That's for sure. I'm not cracking any of these codes. That's definite.
I forget the philosopher who said it, but there's a quote that I've always carried with me. A difference that makes no difference is no difference at all. So, yes, it's a different metaphysical assumption.
Sure.
Okay, maybe I accept that we live in a simulation universe. So what?
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything about life.
Nothing. It's not going to change the people who bore me. It's not going to change who the children I bring to this world, or the history of the entire thing that we've lived. Yeah. Like nothing. Nothing changes.
Again, the only exception to that is like religion. But again, you have to ask yourself, even as a religious person, how accurate are your beliefs?
Yeah.
Like how close to the truth are your assumptions landing?
Do you know? Like, do you know this?
Exactly. Because, like, if you believe that when you die, you will be given 40 virgins and reach Allah's heaven, you're going to seek your death faster. right? Presumably. There's a lot of like Christians in America that believe in the apocalypse. They believed in like the second coming, and that on like Judgment Day or like rapture or whatever, that the righteous will ascend to heaven. And those individuals are like actively seeking to like accelerate our world to like reaching that happening.
Yeah.
Right? So like their behavior is being changed by their metaphysical beliefs. That does not mean that those beliefs are true, of course.
Yeah, exactly. You're bringing a whole lot of faith into it. And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like you can't willfully bring faith into an argument on facts. Like
you're just having a different type of relationship to the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to be aware that your relationship to the truth is different in nature.
Absolutely.
Than those who are trying to use like logic or philosophy to like reasonably arrive at beliefs.
Yeah.
And in the case of people who are trying to reasonably arrive at true beliefs, it does not change anything.
Exactly.
If I'm in a simulation, if God is real, if this world exists inside the egg of a turtle, it changes nothing about the concrete reality within which I experience my life.
Yeah, I can still clap, still making a sound.
Still makes a sound. It's just one of those things where I do think that the Truman Show is really getting at the meat of the issue, not just the sort of like sexy trimmings of it.
I totally agree. And it was before The Matrix anyways. So.
Yeah. But it was not before Plato's allegory of the cave.
Close though, right?
Just like a couple millennia. Just a couple millennia. Humans have been trying to work this out for years.
Yep. Oh, fuck, man.
What would you rate this movie?
Oh, that's really good. I mean,
Are you going 10? This is the second Jim Carrey movie specifically is a 10.
That's crazy.
Jim's
got them chops, bro.
Taste.
He's fucking really, really good. I mean, yeah, I love every aspect of this movie. Even the parts that make me hate parts of this movie, that's why it's a good fucking movie.
I think there's nothing about this movie that I would change.
No.
I don't think it failed in any of its goals.
No, it's 27 years later and it holds up
Yeah.
beautifully. And it will for another 100, I think.
The cinematography reflects the world perfectly. The story is compelling, entertaining, philosophical, makes you ask questions and reflect on your own life, which I think is required for a 10.
Yeah.
The acting, phenomenal. The writing is great. Like
everything, man. The score, we didn't even talk about it. The score is great. It's great at building tension and releasing it. Sometimes it is great.
I've just got no notes. I just think this is a really perfect movie.
Yeah, the way they were able to guess so much shit about the future and how much. Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah.
So I was gonna give it a 10.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy 10 for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's our second Jim Carrey 10, which is really saying something about Jim's artistic sensibilities and like understanding of the value of art, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's not a 10 because Jim Carrey's good at acting. That's not why I'm giving this a 10.
It's the entire culmination of the entire production.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
All of it.
It's everything, but the fact that Jim is in two 10s, I think, does say a lot about his taste, his sensibility for art.
Yeah.
The man knows what he's doing.
He does.
He knows how to make a Ace Ventura or The Mask, but he knows when it's time to get real, how to do that.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't said it better.
Well,
this. Oh wait, no, not yet. Please go down there. Subscribe.
Like us. Please like us.
Oh, please. Hit that bell for notifications. You will get every Monday morning. You will see us, our beautiful faces.
Big, gigantic, beautiful faces.
That's right.
Being projected into your lives, manipulating your reality with our media system.
Yes, we are very manipulative.
We are manipulating your perception of truth.
Yes, this is a 10. You will love this movie.
You will subscribe. We love you guys. This has been Quiet in the Back. Shh.
your reality. You don't have a choice. You consume my media, I consume your voice. Freedom is a necessity, so I make you think you're free. You can become anything I wanna let you wanna be. All your family and friends are in the lying to your face. Everyone you know and love is really being paid. To be your friend is just a job to them. Your dad was bought and sold. A corporation's legal child should just do what it's told. Oh, can you see? No, no, this ain't reality. Oh, you wanna be free? No, no, you are on TV. Pay closer attention, you might just see the cracks. The radio and the televisions, dark psychic attacks. You live in an overturned window, so please accept your world. But I know you remember what was said by your first girl.